I would like to invite all our panelists on the dais here. Ms. Sheryl Salis, certified diabetes educator, insulin pump specialist, founder of Nurture Health Solutions, Mumbai. Dr. Jagmeet Madam, Principal, SVT College, Mumbai.
Lele, Madam.
Professor Smita Lele, Milk and Milk Products, a Holistic Approach is the topic she'll be talking on. And Dr. Laurence Rycken, I think he is joining online. Yes. He is the Nutrition Officer, IDF Brussels. Ms. Sheryl will speak on role of milk in control of obesity and boosting immunity. Okay. Oh, you're asking questions. All right. Okay, so here is the panel for you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Richie. And welcome back, everybody. It's a very power-packed session. We have 4 eminent panelists in this panel. One is joining from Belgium, Laurence Rycken. She is sitting in Brussels. So we have 3 eminent panelists here. To my left, first is Sheryl Salis. She is a very renowned dietitian and a certified diabetic educator. Also a specialist in insulin pump specialist. And probably Dr. Mohan suggested her to be here because she will be definitely complimentary to his talk. Because of paucity of time, I'm not reading the entire biodata, but all persons who are invited here, they are stalwarts in their own field, and we are very happy that she is crowned with so many awards and so many activities doing independently and along with her own organization. Professor Jagmeet Madam, उनको आपने बीच में भी सुन लिया, और probably she is very happy that she is backed up by a big crowd from SVT College. जब भी कोई प्रिंसिपल बैठता है तो मेरे को एक्सपीरियंस है 40 साल का कि स्टूडेंट्स के साथ कितना मजा आता है. So she is for us a very eminent nutritionist, professor and principal of SVT College of SNDT University. And she is also looking after the research consultation collaborations in the R&D center of that. She is also national president of Indian Dietetic Association, and also India representative of International Confederation of Dietetic Association. तो हमारे लिए तो ऐसे ही लोग चाहिए जो मिल्क की थोड़ी पब्लिसिटी कर दे, एंड देन सोदी साहब हमारा जो मार्केट है उसको और बढ़ाए. बट हम सिंसियरिटी से बढ़ाना चाहते, नॉट जस्ट putting the false claims. The third panelist with me is very eminent scientist and a teacher, Professor Smita Lele. She is a bachelor in chemical engineering from UD City. Abhi now it is called as ICT, Institute of Chemical Technology. And she had work experience in some private dairies, but she has mostly worked in this institute, and she has built up, I will say that she was the backbone of that entire institute. And I had fortune to meet her in past, but she is, even after retirement, she is very active and she is working. So she will be also a privilege for us that she is with us. And our fourth panelist is Miss Laurence Rycken. She is with International Dairy Federation, and she is a currently Scientific and Standards Program Manager sitting in Belgium. And her focus is overseeing the developments in international nutrition and food policies while keeping a close eye on the discussions on sustainable diets and food systems and technological innovations. So, we'll go with a quick round of questions with the panelists. We expect some crisp answers, and then if time permits, we'll take 1 or 2 questions from the audience. We have total 45 minutes for this panel. we'll try to close by 1:45 or so. So let us start first question with Sheryl. Probably that will be a continuation of what Dr. Mohan talked with, full of data and reports. So now we want to listen in your words. What is the role of milk in controlling obesity? Please talk in a dietitian's language so that...
Thank you so much at the outset. Thank you for this invitation and thank you, sir, for recommending me. I think this is, sir and I were just discussing outside and we keep discussing about it because honestly, there is so much of confusion everywhere, when it comes to milk, that even when patients come to our clinic, they ask us that, are you against milk or are you for milk? Because there are two, different schools of thoughts and people have this notion that milk is causing obesity, milk is causing diabetes and therefore are completely avoiding milk and going on to taking, the other products, the plant-based milks. But like we discussed, it's all in the flavored form and we are seeing increasing obesity in them. And therefore, I think this is a very important initiative that you all have taken in terms of, what is the evidence? And honestly, it was a good time for us also to study because we went and reviewed a lot of literature. And if you look at what data is available, all of them are saying that in fact it helps to reduce obesity, it helps to reduce overweight, especially even in children, but even in young adults and older people. So definitely milk does not cause obesity. And if it is calculated, because we as dietitians definitely look at what is our requirement, we look at what is the macronutrient requirement, whether it's carbs, protein and fat, and where does milk fit into this? Typically, if you look at our children, they are getting more obese and obese. One is no physical activity and the kind of food that they are having. So in the morning, if they have milk, definitely where one is, we're looking at keeping the calorie content low, but we're also meeting the essential nutrients because we all agree that milk is a complete food because it's got most of the essential nutrients in it. So definitely it is good. But what they add to the milk is the problem because they will have milk, but they add a lot of sugar containing, malted stuff that is added to the milk, which actually puts on the calories as well as the sugar content goes up. So that is something that we need to guide them on what they can add to milk. And what we do is we tell them to add nut powders or make something at home and make like a masala milk and take, because that will also keep them energetic as well as improve their concentration in school. Milk as a snack, I think, works very well because in the evening when they come back home, they're very hungry. And typically, if you see, they'll eat a packet of biscuits or they'll eat a snack, which is very, very low, very high. One is definitely in fat, but saturated fat and refined carbs. If we can replace that maybe with a glass of milk, it will also help to meet the nutrition requirements, the protein, which is a big concern in our country, the calcium, as well as it will provide satiety and give them the energy to go on with their play, etc. So milk definitely in obesity, there's a lot of data out there. I'm not speaking about it because sir has already alluded to that and the studies have shown. In fact, there are prospective randomized, the meta-analysis of randomized control trials as well as the prospective cohort studies that are there, which have shown a positive association of milk when it comes to reduction in body weight, reduction in waist circumference, improvement of muscle mass, as well as it also helps in keeping, the person more satiated and therefore calorie consumption can also come down. So this is my suggestion when it comes to milk and obesity. Definitely, it does not cause obesity.
Thank you, Sheryl. And probably we all agree to this because milk is natural and there is no comparison of milk with those plant-based so-called drinks. Now the tradition is that any white fluid which is there with they try to call as milk, and we have to protect this. Actually, the definition as per Food Safety and Standard Authority of India, as well as the world definition by Codex, clearly says that milk is a natural lactal secretion. Now, everything is just you collect some soybeans and soak it and grind it and add some chemicals and sugars and stabilizers and make a white liquid. Cannot be called as milk. It is a shame for. Anyway, so thank you very much for differentiating. And now what you told about milk, I would like to know from Dr. Madan that what do you say about the other milk products like cheese or butter or maybe fermented milk or other things, that how does it affect in maybe heart problems? Because many people claim that consuming a lot of cheese and happening like this. So what is your opinion about these products in management of heart disease and other ailments, probably metabolic syndromes, as Dr. Mohan had highlighted it in depth?
So thank you, Dr. Prajapati, first of all, for this opportunity. And I definitely sit very proud here because not only that I represent my institution, but I represent the entire nutrition and dietetics fraternity. And what makes me very relaxed today is that there was a time when we were worried about quacks. But today we can see professionally qualified dietitians and our own young budding students, in every forum who have undergone a training in the entire, formal training of graduation, post-graduation in food nutrition and dietetics, wherein we only talk about evidence-based science. So I think the first thing which I want to make as a statement here is that, we cannot take a statement at its face value. That's one thing which, even as a layperson, you have a right to know more about whatever is being given to you on a platter as a blanket statement. So, milk, of course, for me and as a nutritionist, no food can be good or bad. As long as we put it in the right perspective as to how we are using it and where we are using it. So when you spoke about milk and milk products, I think they are a boon for a vegetarian population. And especially, when you look at diabetics, when you look at people suffering from heart disease, these are very catabolic states. These are not healthy states. And as Indians, I think most of us are vegetarians. Even the non-vegetarian would be consuming non-veg once or twice a week. Right? So inherently we are vegetarians and we need to look for good quality protein. So even though we say that if we combine the plant proteins very judiciously, we can get the quality. But with the add-on effect of small quantity of milk, there is an addition of the essential amino acids, which kind of completes the matrix and helps in totality to improve the quality of protein. And that's where, it's going to help the body conserve the muscles and build on immunity and a lot of things which are important for a diabetic or a person who's suffering from cardiovascular disease. Now, when it comes to milk product, any day, curd and Dr. Mohan's data and his elegant talk clearly alluded that curd or yogurt in any case is better than milk. Now, why we say that it's better than milk? Because it's more easy to digest. Because in curd, lactose is already converted into lactic acid, and that's why most of us can tolerate curd, but we may not tolerate milk. The second thing is that let's not forget that when we talk of catabolism, protein, there is another concern in Indian population is the calcium intake. So, if you look at today's RDI and EAR, they have been increased from where it was. Today, the RDA is 800 milligrams for an adult. Now, if I take 2 bowls of yogurt, I'm still getting about, close to 400 milligrams of calcium. So, there is a gap which is still there for calcium, but the benefit in consuming milk and taking calcium from the milk product is that it is more bioavailable. There is a calcium to phosphorus ratio which comes inherently in milk. There is presence of small amount of vitamin D. So there are factors which are favoring the absorption of calcium. So when it comes to milk product, definitely what is rated best is yogurt or curd. Now, even, what you mentioned, that buttermilk, which is a byproduct of curd or yogurt, is good for digestion, especially after a meal. That's why it's recommended after a meal. And of course, it adds to the hydration, and milk is a good source of potassium, so that's the added benefit. So here is protein, here is calcium, and again, these are very, very important, important nutrients for diabetic population or diabetic persons and people with heart disease. The third point which I want to make is that very often people think that the homemade curd is a probiotic. So it is adding value, in terms of microorganisms, because when you set curd, there is a microbial phenomena which is happening. But let me clarify that the homemade curd is not a probiotic food. A probiotic food is a food which contains specific species of microorganisms in a defined quantity and defined serving. And unless and until those specific species of microorganisms are there in that quantity, we cannot call a product probiotic. So there are two thoughts which I am sharing with you. One, curd is a very good food, a very good product of milk which should be consumed regularly because it's easy to digest, good source of protein, very good source of calcium, which is also very readily available. And it is definitely, adding to your gut flora, but it's not giving the benefits of a probiotic food, which you may think that just by consuming regular curd, I am adding those specific probiotic microorganisms. So that's something. But for probiotic microorganism, there are probiotic yogurts available today in the market, and one can use them. But there is no need for you to specifically go and buy them and use them on a daily basis unless that you really feel that there is a specific need. Because when it comes to gut flora, I just want to add, Dr. Prajapati, it's not only the probiotic microorganism, it is also the food for the gut, that is your dietary fiber, and that's your prebiotic. So if your diet is rich in fiber, that means you are consuming good amount of vegetables, fruits, pulses, whole grain cereals, if your matrix is good, and if you're consuming curd on a regular basis, somewhere there is a synergy between whatever microorganisms, can be beneficial microorganisms which can grow in the gut on this matrix and the probiotic effect which is coming from the curd. So curd is definitely the best alternative in milk and milk product. When it comes to cheese and, there are very many paneer. Now, again, I want to say is that by having a milk product made out of a high-fat milk doesn't add additional nutritional value. So if I compare the nutritional value of paneer made out of cow's milk versus made out of buffalo's milk, the only difference is in the fat content. So it's again a myth in the people's mind that the higher the fat content of milk, the better is the quality of the milk product. No. So why do we value milk? We value milk for all the other nutrients and not only the fat. So nobody is saying that we go for slim milk and low fat milk. You can take a 3 to 4%, milk, make paneer out of it. It's very, very nutritious, and that can be your daily, part of your daily diet. But you don't have to buy paneer from outside, wherein you're not sure of what milk has been used. If it's a high-fat milk, some additives have been used, some stabilizers have been used. So you're not sure of that product. So paneer definitely is a good source of protein, but we have to be wary about what is the source of milk to make that paneer. Now, when it comes to cheese and various other milk products which are available, like I said, flavored milk, flavored yogurts and all, we have to take it with a pinch of salt, because with the goodness of milk, what else is coming with the product, I think needs to be kept in mind. Yeah. Yeah, correct. So yeah, so when it is cheese, it is a processed cheese. It is giving you more amount of protein, but it is also adding a whole lot of salt in our diet. So I think today we as nutritionists are talking about HFSS. Remember that? High fat, salt, sugar foods. So when it comes to milk, please don't go for a high fat milk. Please don't go for a milk product which is high in salt. Okay? And please don't add simple sugars to a fresh milk, to kind of add flavor or whatever and, increase the content. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Madan, for elaborating the details. Actually, salt, sugar and fat को blame किया गया. Anyway, fat का जो myth है वो breakdown के लिए हमारे पास डॉक्टर अपन आती है, जिन्हें पिछले 100 साल का रिव्यू करके आ जाए है. Unluckily, I am not able to allow you to present everything, but at least you will highlight something that कि किस तरह से फैट को ब्लेम किया गया. अमेरिकन हार्ट एसोसिएशन ने वो सब प्रूफ के साथ लेके आए आज. So it's not that high fat is bad, but the effect is not going to be as significant. आप middle fat 4% में ले लो कि 6% ले लो, ज़्यादा कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. Anyway, I also thank you for breaking this something about the probiotics and these things, for clarifying. Actually, the probiotic term is allowed only those strains were clinically proved beneficial. और उसमें, as Dr. Mohan indicated earlier, that how long it takes and how difficult it is to go for clinical trials, randomized control trials and so many things. So many times, many things go without saying. Does not mean that curd may not have probiotic. It may have, but it is not proven by science that all those bacteria which are there are probiotic or not. So we do not call curd as a probiotic. दही को probiotic नहीं कहते, but जब probiotic कहते हैं तो by legal definition, the strains which are added must have a clinically proven health benefit. Anyway, very good thing. Abhi we have got a veteran in this food science. So आजकल का जो trend है vegan और non-vegan और खास करके जैन काफ़ी आज से पोल्यूशन भी शुरू हो रहा है. तो my straight question to you, madam, what do you say about the vegan and whether it is good for health or not?
Thank you very much. And I think I'm much more senior than both of them. And all my talks, and I think some of the people in audience have heard me talking popular science. So I'm a staunch believer of old is gold, but modern is also equally good. So we have to go for optimization, because by training I'm an engineer. So even if I don't call my homemade buttermilk probiotic, I don't care for what tag the science gives. I care for what it makes on my body. So before answering the vegan, I would like to just give 2-3 pieces, because I always like to talk fundamentally. So my talk was holistic, WHO. LSD. So first thing I want to tell Dr. Mohan that he has one more volunteer for increase in HDL by eating plain cashew nuts. I can provide my 5 years blood test, because I had a project in Konkan and I love cashews. And so I have my blood test and my HDL has increased. But total cholesterol has not increased. So since I'm scientist, I guinea pig myself also while doing what I like. So because just like when I go to an allopathic doctor, if I ask him, what is your opinion about Ayurveda, he's not supposed to talk. So when I have a nutrition and dietitian here, what they say is perfectly okay. But I'm an engineer who has worked in food. So I will talk what is optimum for my youngsters and for everybody. So the first thing is vitamin M drives the whole world. So vitamin M. I have transferred so many small technologies in food, and I have realized if you want to make money ethically, you have to sell water, you have to sell air, you have to sell nitrogen, you have to sell packaging with some food ingredients, whatever you have listed on the label. Now, I am also in the panel of labeling right now and claims. So as far as milk as a claim is concerned, there was a discussion recently also, and they have approved soya milk, because they are saying that something which is used like milk in those quantities. Because conventionally we use the word coconut milk in South. And fish and the normal milk is not supposed to be eaten together according to traditional wisdom, which I believe. Modern science has to now prove, the youngsters, 30 minus have to prove it in modern way. So we call it milk. So that is why they said you cannot call almond milk. That will come very soon, that order will come. You cannot call almond milk, but soya milk or coconut milk because you are using in those quantities, something like that. So that's okay. Those are all man-made things. So if you see the story of coconut and eggs, you will know right now the culprit is means our carbohydrate and our milk. So I did some fundamental studies for my last talk. See, nature is the best nutritionist, best scientist, best engineer, best everything. So I tried to see the composition of various animals' milk, including human being, which is also a mammal, an animal. And I worked on the ratios. So the ratio of protein to carbohydrate in human milk is 1:7. Why they are saying that my carbohydrate is high? Because all the mothers, more or less, whether they are from this culture or that, it's not going to get drastically different just because the mother is on the other part, the human being. So this could be one way of looking at it. I use that number also to find out protein per gram of body weight, grams of protein per kg. Everything I am not sharing here. So let me add one more thing to what Sheryl said. Why the child, when he comes back, like my grandson home, should have a cup of milk. You add one more thing which we learnt in the morning, high glycemic index. तो बार बार भूख नहीं लगती और आके junking नहीं करता till dinner. Secondly, what Madan was saying, personally, why the buttermilk has to be taken after the food? Because it has natural lactobacilli which cannot survive my gastric juice. And dahi may not be that beneficial as per Ayurveda, 3 times added milk and 100 times churned to reduce the volatile fatty acids. Now this I have to understand in my modern science because Ayurveda may not give me the reason. And then if I take that, maybe smaller quantities, there is a possibility that some lactobacilli will survive and reach my colon. Then one more very important point which most of us miss. Where do I get culture for my colon? From my mother, from my mother, from my mother. And this is the reason we do not have that kind of lactose intolerance which is reported online for us. See, total intolerance means I should not be able to take the tea with milk. That is what. See, as we grow, none of us will have 1 liter milk which we had when we were 6 months baby. None of us. That is different. Because you have 2 ways it will be digested. One is the lactase enzyme and other one is through lactobacilli. So totally we are not becoming 100% intolerant. But as we grow old, yes, we find at times difficult. So this vegan thing, I am not at all against vegan, but that doesn't mean I am pro-vegan. As Madan said, my definition, my personal definition of a non-veg diet is 14 times a week. That is 2 meals per day, non-veg and no vegetables. There is no such non-vegetarian in our country. Because of maybe religious reason, maybe because of the cost or whatever it is. So all of us are vegetarians, but some of us also take meat in the form of non-vegetarian. And if you have to really understand it holistically, we must separate out milk from the meat. So animal origin is different and meat is different. So only if we say protein for animal origin, protein is the only best thing. I can give you 2 names of very famous animals. Both, one is domestic, horse, and second one is wild, elephant. And they are vegetarian to the best of my knowledge. So let us not conclude. What we need is optimum, and I think that animal meat you leave aside, but animal origin milk really is a Purnanna. All of us have seen it, and quantities and all those things can come. Now vegans do not even accept honey. So if you think that way, it is just a question. That is, to save a human, should I sacrifice a dog? Or to save a dog, I want to sacrifice human. So similarly, if I take it further, why honey? They should stop eating many grains and all. Because without pollination through honey, or some of the seeds have to come out of dropping of the birds. So please tell this to your friends, because then those plants will not grow. So it is a level at which you are going. That means you should only drink water and have weather. Because classically, what is the source of energy for all of us on the earth? Sun. But we don't have chlorophyll, plant cells have. So we are eating all that as a cruel person, which the plant made for itself. Whether it is a leaf or a stem or a root or a seed or a flower, how cruel I am. So if the milk is only for the calf, then everything of the plant is for the plant, not made for us. So only air and water. And take the direct solar energy. You can use meditation, samadhi, any method you want to use. Open your Sushumna Nadi and you can be without food. What method you use is left to you. And so it is the stupidest thing, and youngsters don't listen to the other side of the world. They are looking at us as only a market, and market of fools. And it is not market of fools. It is market of scientists. As sir said in the morning, if I have done the experiment with cashew, I will not say salted cashew. That's the level of scientists. All of us are here, and we have the power of knowledge, the power of intelligence. So I don't look down at anybody who wants to become vegan. Fine. But that doesn't mean that you are going to become healthier. You will know it after 5 years. But you have every right in this world and in this country to experiment on yourself. No law will stop you from doing that. But at what cost? So let us not change our diet drastically. In fact, we talk anything. We say 360 degrees. As an engineer, I laugh because I'll come at the same point. So do not change your thinking by 180 degrees. Because my probiotic culture, symbiotic culture, abiotic, all that I got saat purkho se na, mere nani se. I can't change it overnight. There is a proven science for that. Change your diet gradually by 20%. Your body talks to you. If you find it better, please do it. But don't force yourself. So there is nothing wrong about becoming vegan. But that doesn't mean that milk is bad, milk products are poisonous. All those things are nonsense. Don't go by extreme. Ati sarvatra varjayat. I think I have made my point.
Thank you, Dr. Lele, for very strongly giving your opinion. मेरा 2 personal experiences, sir. My students, one is in Australia, one is in USA. They said that my son became vegan, and after 5 years now he is required to take regularly the injections of vitamin B12 and other things. So they are deficient. Deficiency rehti hai. So you have to think before we change our diet and so. Thank you very much. We had a very energetic discussion from Dr. Lele. Now I will have only second round very briefly so that we can listen to IDF ladies sitting there. So something, Sheryl, on immunity, please.
That was an excellent thing, ma'am, from you. And so again, veganism, I just want to add to that because we see a lot of, people with diabetes who are on metformin, and we do see B12 deficiency. So again, if they choose veganism as a way of life, then we have to, again, give supplements of B12, and that needs to be checked. One is they need to monitor it. So these are important things to be kept in mind. And like ma'am said, it is, if you compare the plant milks with our milk, there is no comparison only in terms of whether it is calcium, whether it is in terms of protein, or even in the other essential micronutrients. So there is no comparison. I think cost-wise, it goes up by 4 to 5 times. If you look at the cost of, your almond milk and all, instead, you can just eat almonds. In fact, we've done studies on nuts, and it has shown to have a cardiometabolic, protection that is there with your nuts, whether it is with raw cashew nuts or even we've seen with raw almonds and even walnuts. So these are important things to be kept in mind. When it comes to immunity, I think COVID taught us a lot, and immunity became the buzzword, and then came turmeric latte. And, everybody started having it. If you go to Starbucks today, it costs a lot of money. But when our grandmothers used to force us to have it every night, how much have we resisted it? Okay, and today everybody is now wanting, and that time everybody was ready to take it because we didn't want to have COVID. So that itself talks about the importance of milk in immunity. So when it's milk and then you add turmeric and you add pepper, so the curcumin and the pepperine itself will help to boost. So milk has got a lot of essential, it is a complete protein, so to say. It has all the essential amino acids. It has tryptophan, especially today we are seeing that people are not able to sleep. Insomnia is becoming a big, big problem, and that itself is a reason for weight gain, for uncontrolled diabetes and so on. So if, the milk in the night, if they have a cup or a glass of warm milk and go to sleep, we are seeing our own patients telling us that they're sleeping much better. There is uninterrupted sleep. They feel very fresh in the morning, and that itself will help to boost immunity. Yes, milk has got the whey protein, it's got casein, it's got tryptophan, it's got riboflavin. It has got a lot of other things like lactoferrin and alpha lactoalbumin. So all these are very important in terms of boosting immune health. And therefore, milk is definitely one of a superfood, I would say, when it comes to boosting immunity. And we should encourage it. One is that we should have it. I think, our children follow our footsteps and not our advice. So if we are going to shun milk and ask them to have it, they will not. So very important is we should have it and remove that fear from the person's mind, because there's a lot of fear about it and they're looking for alternate options. But milk, even if you look at data, there is data to show that milk helps in boosting immunity, and we should encourage the consumption of milk.
That's good, very good. Actually, we had one clinical trial with milk added with honey and probiotic bacteria our own. And we studied it in adult population, and we found that it is affecting so many parameters of immunity which reflects overall that immunity increases. And that is very, very important in old age people. So in context of this, I would like to ask one brief question.
I just want to add one more thing, I'm sorry. But milk with sugar, or, typically I deal with a lot of children with diabetes, and parents come and tell us that curd will, the child is refusing to have curd because there's no sugar added. But who's taught the child to do that? The child didn't come out learning, to add that. So very important is avoid adding, because that itself will reduce immunity, the sugar. So we have to, like ma'am said, cut down on HFSS. This is very important. So even when it comes to curd, there is data to show that in fact consumption of 80 to 125 grams of curd every day actually helps to reduce the risk of getting diabetes. And that is a practice, we've been having it. So in fact, we encourage in our clinic that at least maybe 450 ml of, grams of curd and milk together. You can't go overboard as well. But then a cup of milk and then 2 cups of curd, one at lunch, one at dinner, because that will help us moderate the carbs, because people still want to feel full. So if you're going to cut down the carbs, you have to give them something. So curd becomes a good additive, because one, it's reasonable, easily available at home. And secondly, it also helps because it has a lower carbohydrate content. So if I'm taking 125 grams of curd, I get only 5 grams of carbohydrate, but I get 5 grams of protein. So that itself will be an addition protein. It will help to blunt the glycemic index and also bring down the glycemic load.
Thank you very much for that clarification also. And I have a very direct and short question to Dr. Madan, because we talk about calcium coming from different sources. So how you relate the bone strength and the milk versus other types of milk, so-called beverages?
So I think my take as a nutritionist is that milk is definitely a must for good bone health. And especially, we, of course, in growing ages, like what she spoke about, growing children, adolescent, and as we age, we tend to lose bone. So definitely a consistent intake of a food which is not only a rich source of calcium, but the calcium is more bioavailable. So that is very important. It's not only just to quantify the calcium which you're getting from the milk, but how much of it is available to your body is also important, and that becomes all the more important as we age. So, like I was alluding to the AR and RDA, in fact, we are questioning that why the RDAs have been increased so much for calcium, and especially for menopausal women, it is 1200 milligrams. So, if you just look at the average intake of calcium in an Indian diet, it is not more than 400 maximum 600 milligrams. So this is, I'm talking where the diets are adequate. So if that is the level of intake, how are we even thinking of meeting the RDA of EAR of 800 or 1000 or 1200 milligrams? So that is where, when we say that if protein is important, people say that, taking too much of protein is not a good idea. But taking a good quality protein or managing the carbohydrate to protein ratio is an intelligent way of managing protein, because whatever I'm taking, I'm utilizing in my body to the maximum. So when it comes to calcium, I think regular consumption of curd, which is definitely rated higher than milk in terms of calcium availability, even digestibility, better absorption. So definitely 2 bowls of curds is a recommendation on a daily basis. And if I say 200 ml is my bowl, I get about, you can say about 250 or 300 milligrams of calcium if I take from, 200 ml of curd. Because 100 ml of curd, is about 125 or 118, 118 milligrams of calcium from 100 ml. So it's close to about 300 milligrams of calcium coming from 200 to 250 milligrams of bowl of curd. So if you take 2 of those, you are at least getting 600 milligrams of calcium, and a calcium which is more bioavailable with all the additional nutrients which are there. And of course, when it comes to bone health, it's like, no food is a magic food. So for bone health, you not only need calcium, which is coming from milk and milk products, especially curd, you also need good amount of protein, you need vitamin C, you need magnesium, and more than anything, you need physical activity. Any amount of protein, any amount of calcium will not help to preserve the bone health unless and until we complement it with regular physical activity. And today, we are recommending resistance exercises at all ages, and especially in middle age, older adults. At all ages, resistance exercises should be done to strengthen the muscle and prevent the muscle from getting lost.
Yeah, thank you very much for explaining it further. Because of shortage of time, I will take last question with Dr. Lele. Because all other aspects we have touched upon. One aspect where Dr. Mohan left a gray area is allergy. So just would like to hear your opinion on milk and allergy. How do you correlate?
Thank you very much. As I have said, I'm guinea pigging myself. So I developed tomato allergy in my middle age, 35, 40. And I have now blood test and identified one PhD also on tomato allergy. And I'm nothing against any country, but I am not allergic to American tomato. So I bring Heinz ketchup from made in USA, but not in India. So probably it has something to do with hybrid also, because you see so much peanut allergies abroad. But in Maharashtra, we were always using groundnut oil. We use groundnut everywhere. So we don't see that many allergies. So this is my hypothesis for youngsters related to botany to work. So probably when we do hybridization, not genetically modified, because tomato is new to our country. So I tried to study milk allergy. I wanted to know what milk is better for me. And I found that there is less possibility of buffalo milk allergy than cow's milk. So it could be also because of the intervention. So personally, I use frequently buffalo milk. That is the so-called full cream maize. These days, I don't have to tell, sir. They are not committing because of recycle kar dete hai na sab kuch. So anyway, in terms of fat, now they are call it full cream. But as a layman, I will say buffalo milk. But I will boil and remove the fat, and I will use that sai in different format. So actually, if I keep in the fridge, I get low-fat milk for consumption. So this is my personal experience. So I would say that if any one of you have got food allergies, those tendencies, that time you may develop. These are temporary cross allergies. So if you develop immunity, become healthy, it will disappear. But otherwise it may have, but per se, milk is not known for being a allergen. Okay? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Just quickly, please.
I don't know. It's just a thought, and I want to share on this forum is that, even in our Vedas, we have spoken a lot about cow's milk. But the milk which is available today is a aggregated milk. So how do we answer this as to what is the milk which I am consuming in the packet? This question has been bothering me for a long time. Though we scientifically set the SNF, we do all that, we pasteurize, we are doing everything which the science is telling us. But if there is goodness in a particular type of milk, which has been documented from ancient times, can we have a solution to this, sir? I mean, I'm asking Dr. Sodhi.
Yes, it will.
Very interesting talk, a lot of learnings. Let me tell you, first is in Vedas, it's my personal belief that in Vedas only cow milk is mentioned. I feel during that time, buffalo was not domesticated. That has come late. During that time, it was cow. Buffalo milk was not there. It was not domesticated. And whatever milk you buy, when it is not mentioned cow or buffalo, it's a mixed milk. On an average, you can say it is 50-50 or 60-40. But I have yet to see, like Professor Mohan mentioned, lot of studies, okay, on that how milk is reducing type 2 diabetes. There is no scientific study, nobody has said where they can say which milk is better, cow or buffalo. There's no study, no scientific. All is hearsay. And naturally, Western world, they also talk about cow, milk means cow because they don't have buffaloes. But let me tell you, as a marketer, about 8-9 years back, we started selling cow milk separately in the market. So it got some good sale and we were growing. Then only 2.5 years back, we started selling buffalo milk. Full cream milk was there and it is selling many times more than the cow milk. But when we started selling buffalo milk, within 2 years, it crossed the sale of cow milk. Because food, like I mentioned in the morning, taste, nutrition, affordability. And buffalo milk is superior to cow in all these three.
Thank you, sir.
More fat, more SNF, more protein, more fat, more protein, more calcium.
Protein is the same.
No. You can ask any. It has got SNF. No, 9.1%, 9.2% SNF. Yeah.
But madam, we have got different types of the milk now.
The balance between fat and SNF is the milk. If buffalo milk increase in fat, naturally SNF will increase.
But that will be a slight increase will be there. But we have got different types of the fat. Double tone milk, standardized milks. So, yeah, so high fat milk.
Most of the households, just one, most of the households where buffalo milk is consumed, it is not consumed directly as it is. It is consumed like Dr. Lele said, even most of the households, we use buffalo milk, we remove fat. Rest of the milk which is used is almost like cow milk. And that fat is converted into butter and ghee, homemade ghee, which is also a very good source of nutrition. So that is why buffalo milk, if it is consumed in this way. It is not directly consumed drunk like that high fat. So it doesn't harm in that sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rajesh.